So
Again, thank you for the interview, and let's talk about the shrouds. I mean, you're always been interested in like science and technology, right? But in this movie, everything that is shown in a realistic way is probably very close to the current state of science and technology.
yes, that's true.
How interesting is to find yourself in this reality and being able to use it for your stories?
It just seems very natural to me. You know, I've been a tech nerd since I was a kid, and been playing with computers since the 1980s. So it just seems very natural to me. I don't have to really think too much about it, and because I think it's a very natural part of a lot of people's lives. Um, the technology in the movie The Shrouds is you could do it. You could do that now. It absolutely could do that if somebody wanted to create these kind of strange high tech cemeteries. It definitely could be done. So it's not really science fiction, as far as I'm concerned. This is really just fairly realistic, and it's a kind of a realistic grief love story. You know, I don't think of this as science fiction at all, and I don't think of it as a horror film at all.
Yeah. That's pretty interesting because I was wondering how. I mean, of course, there's always you always feel tempted to classify a movie in a genre, but this one is pretty diverse, and it's also like you could say it's a cyber thriller too that
Yes,
involves like different nations. It's a romance story, so
yes.
there's a lot in this movie that is like I don't know if you like were like aware of this when you were
Oh
writing
yeah.
it.
Oh yes, I was. Yeah, yeah. But I don't really think about genre when I'm making a movie. I mean, you're just trying to make it come alive. I think that the whole question of genre is really more a critic's question because it doesn't really give me as a filmmaker something useful to work with. I'm just making the movie, trying to make the characters come alive, and then eventually it's either categorized or it's not. I mean, movies like that I've made, like Dead Ringers, let's say, or um, Cosmopolis, they're not really, what genre are they in? They're not in any genre, you know. So I really don't think about it much until I'm talking to critics who might want to categorize it one way or another. Then we discuss it.
Yeah. But still, the important part of all this is just like you can like recognize your that you're behind the movies, your style. I mean, even if this movie feels very realistic, the atmosphere is kind of I don't know. I don't want I want to say weird, but in a good way because I
I
do like your
understand.
movies.
Yeah,
It feels kind of eerie. I mean, it's interesting. Are
yeah.
you like? But I don't know if that's something that you have on you, or you just like sometimes you decide to change your visual style or your approach to the stories.
It's really very natural. It just comes naturally to me. From the first movies that I made and that I wrote. It's just I'm not really thinking about it. It's just I think it would be hard for me to do it some other way, you know. And of course, I've done movies like History of Violence and Eastern Promises that were written by other people, and they have a different feeling to them. So a lot of it has to do with the writing, but I have my own style, and it just comes naturally. I don't really have to think about it.
And something that I think is very interesting too is just like the this story was originally intended to be a TV series for Netflix, and then it's interesting because right now Netflix has a bunch of like dystopic series that deals with technology and science. I mean, they have they released the German series Cassandra, and of course they have a new season of Black Mirror. But you've been doing this since the 70s, starting probably with Rabbit. So you're the godfather of this. I don't know if you call it tendency or whatever. You're the godfather.
Yeah, well, I accept that. I accept that role, but once again, I say it's sort of interesting for me to see after all these years. But I don't. Each time I make a movie, honestly, it's like it's the first movie. I forget about. I don't think about my other movies. I know that I'll be connected. The new movie will be connected to the other movies just because it's coming from me. But it's like it's the first movie you ever made, and you have to try to make it come to life. Basically, that's how it feels to me.
And do you watch other stuff that like stuff that can be similar? As I say, the series, I mean, Black Mirror, all the stuff. Do you watch that, or you try not to?
I think I just watched the very first couple of episodes of Black Mirror, and of course they were interesting. They were like short stories that you would read in the old fantasy and science fiction magazine, for example. So I just watched a couple of them, and it varies. Of course, some of them are good, some of them are not so good. But I eventually stopped watching. I don't know why. I just wasn't interested in continuing. But I know it's been popular and seems strong.
Anyway, it has to be good, right, for a filmmaker not to watch so many similar things, because I don't know. I'm thinking about like modern filmmakers. They watch everything, so it's just like your movie, The Shroud is pretty original, even if it deals with topics that are part of these other series or movies, but it feels like it's your own creation.
Because for me, making a movie is my way of discussing and commenting on the human condition in general and my human condition in particular. And it doesn't come from other movies or doesn't come from TV series, although I watch a lot of both of those.
Yeah.
But when I'm making a movie, I'm not referring to those. I'm not. It's just. It's not a matter of arrogance here. It's just a question. That's the reality.
Yeah.
The Shrouds is really about my life in some ways, in a metaphorical way, even though I'm creating fictional characters. It's not about some character that I saw in a movie that I would like to sort of replicate. That's just the reality of it.
And I know you say that you don't use your movies as therapy or catharsis, but well, this movie deals with the death of a loved one. The main character is obviously dealing with that loss through this invention.
Yeah, sure.
Grave take. But I don't know. So, in some sense, they gotta. I mean, this is a very personal movie, but you say that you're connected to it, obviously. But when I watch it, I felt, okay, yeah, this is not autobiographical. Of course, this is like an exacerbation of a moment, right? Of the feelings that you felt probably.
Yes, that's right. I mean,
Life.
I am not a high-tech entrepreneur like my character. I don't own a restaurant and a cemetery.
Yeah.
It's once you start writing the script, however much things from your life have inspired you, as soon as you start writing the script, you are creating fiction, and you're creating fictional characters. And you want that because you want these characters to surprise you, come alive. You're not making a documentary about your life. You're creating a whole world within the cinema of your filmmaking. So that's how it feels to me.
So at one point when you were writing the script, did you feel, okay, I'm getting way too close to my own experience, so let's try something different, or not?
No, it doesn't feel like that. No, I would just, yes, my wife of 43 years died in 2017, and I was sort of addressing the idea, what happens when someone loses his wife, and the drama that comes from that. And so, but that was the incentive to make the movie. But as I say, as soon as I start writing it, you get characters who are alive and they surprise you and they do things you didn't expect and they say things you didn't expect them to say. And you want that because you want them to become alive and not be a sort of pale imitation of somebody that you knew in real life.
And how are you dealing in real life with like artificial intelligence? Because of course I know that you're a man that supports like science and evolution and all that, but it's been quite complicated, right? With everything that's going on now, we have like an app that just imitated like Studio Ghibli and stuff, and I don't know.
Yeah, it's complicated and it's interesting, but I've seen many technological innovations, like going from analog to digital was the hugest change in filmmaking. And we filmmakers have been using AI for years, just not as sophisticated as now, but in making a movie, you use AI to track things, to change things as they move, and all of that kind of thing, and to create some things that look real and are not real. So for me, AI, and I'm talking now just about filmmaking, for me, AI is just another tool in the toolbox that I can use to make my film work better, be more realistic, and so on. So it's not a problem for me. It's something that's there to use or not use. There are other issues about AI, of course, in the broader cultural sense about appropriation, about copyright. That's a whole other thing. But for me as a filmmaker, those things are not an issue.
So they told me that I have one more question. So I would like to ask you about the actors, about like Vincent Cassel. I mean, who portrays the main character. People insist that he kind of look like you, but you say that you don't feel like that. And then also,
yeah, you see my face shape is different, my eyes are different. The hair is a little similar, but as I've said, I did not cast Vincent Cassel because of his hair.
and I want to ask you about him, about Diane, because this is my last question. Diane Kruger too. I mean, why did you choose these guys, and how was working with them? Because there's a lot of like emotional and physical demands, right? I mean, this movie is like sexuality is very important to this movie too. So there's a lot of like they're exposing themselves in many different ways.
Sure. Yeah, it was this movie. Well, I've worked with Vincent on two other movies,
Yes,
and I like him as an actor. And but this was a big challenge for him because he normally plays tough guys, gangsters who speak very quickly and they don't talk a lot. And this movie this character is quite different, much softer, much more intellectual, and also he's my mind just completely went away.
it's fine. Don't worry.
No. So it's the most dialogue that he's ever had in any movie. He told me. So he's speaking a lot of dialogue in English. It's a big challenge for him, quite a big challenge for him, and I think he did it beautifully. But it's a different role than you normally expect from Vincent Cassel.
And Diane?
And Diane, well, I think Diane is fantastic, and she plays three roles.
Yes.
Movie, and she does it brilliantly. I mean, her accent, her sort of Canadian. I asked her to do an accent like mine, which is sort of Toronto, Midtown Toronto accent, very Canadian accent. She did it fantastically. She's really great at that. So it was, and Guy Pearce also could do that.
Oh,
so,
Guy Pearce is great too.
I had, really wonderful actors who immediately bring the script to life and they become their own people, and they are no longer have anything to do with the real people that I knew.
David, thank you very much for this movie. Thank you very much for all your movies. I do love your movies.
Thank you.
Have a great rest of the day, man. Thank you again. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye. Take care.
Bye-bye.